since today is Tuesday, May the 10th, and it's Technique Tuesday, we're going to do a card with the Hello Ladybug bundle, which is a stamp set and a punch. Haven't played with this in a little while, probably since my class back in January, so it's time to pull it out and really use it. If you're out there watching, thank you so much for being here and letting me know that you're watching live. And if you're watching on the replay, do drop me a note. I love to check in and see your comments, and especially know if you've given the card or the technique I'm showing you a try. So this one is called the swing card, and it does exactly that. So when you look at this, it kind of looks like this is going to flip over. It's going to be a usual kind of side folding card. But check this out. It's a swing card. How cool is that? So it's really, really simple, and all that you need is a rectangular type die piece, because you're going to actually cut through this front flap. All right, so if you want to learn how to watch this, how to make this, you got to keep watching here. Let me bring in our supplies. So we need a card base that is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, because it's going to open this way. We're going to do a little scoring. So normally we'd score this in half at 5 1/2, and then we're going to score it another time at 2 3/4. So 2 3/4 twice is 5 1/2. So we've got 2 score lines here. Hi Debbie, thanks for popping in. And so that is that piece. We're going to do a little embossing. You need a card base piece or layer for the inside here. This one is 4 by 5 1/4 or 4 by 5 1/4, your standard inside piece. But we're going to do a little stamping first. So we'll just set that aside. And then I have 2 pieces. They were just 1/4, or I guess would that be an 1/8 of a sheet? So it doesn't matter what they are. They just need to be big enough for the die that you choose, and you need 2 of them. So I made mine, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. And speaking of the dies, I'm using these ones, the Scallop contour dies. So I keep mine always on a ring. I don't have them on a fancy black background like some people do, but these are the ones that you get in this set. They nest, and you just have to decide which one you want to use on your card. See that? Some of them have different scalloped elements to them. So you could really go with any size. I went with the middle one. You could go 1 up. It makes your card here a little bit, hi Brenda, a little bit more taken out of it, and so a little bit less sturdy, I would say. So I'm going to go with the one in the middle. I like the scallops. They look really pretty, and especially with the stitching, but you could definitely use any other kind of rectangular type die. Okay, and we got our paper pieces here, and then we just need a couple of extra pieces for decorating with the little ladybug. So I have a piece of black and a scrap piece of white. Okay, alrighty, so let's do all our stamping first. That's probably a good way to get started, stamping and slash punching. So I'm going to punch out the ladybug. Hi Shay, thanks for dropping in. Hey Glenda. We're doing a swing card tonight. So I'm going to pop out one of the ladybugs. Now I'll be honest, on this set there is a body of the ladybug, and even using my Stampin' Pierce mat to do my stamping with, and even the Stamparatus, I didn't like the depth of color that I would get, so I typically just punch out a black body. That's just my preference, but there certainly is one within the stamp set, which you could hand cut if you didn't have the punch. So there's my body, and then for the wings, I'm going to grab this scrap piece. Make sure I leave the right scrap piece for the other die cut. So here's a scrap piece, and I'm going to do the little wings. Now when I go to stamp them, I tend to see how am I going to slide this into the punch, because I don't want to have a lot of big waste where I'm in the middle and I end up wasting it. I want to make sure I do my stamping near the edge. Okay, I've already loaded my stamps onto the blocks. You'll see that this one's already pink. There is no ink on it. It's because once you start using it with various different colors, they get stained. While they're clean and not transferring the color, they might stay stained. So pick a color you like and go with that. This is new. It's Sweet Sorbet. It's the same color I've chosen for the card base. So I'm going to do the wings in Sweet Sorbet. And I've used this quite a bit, this stamp, and I feel like or this ink pad, so I feel like I'm going to need to re-ink it sooner than later. And you'll notice I have my Stampin' Pierce mat underneath. That's because I'm using a photopolymer stamp. My little placemats do a great job, but these work wonderfully. When you press down, you get a much better image. And like I said, I think what's going on is that my ink pad needs to be re-inked. I'm going to try to go over top. Not bad. Right over top. And then there is also with this set the little dots, and they just fit over top there in black ink. And I kind of like to move it this way so I can see for positioning a little bit better. So I'm going to need this ink pad again for the greeting, but let's get the black Memento. And if you're using Memento, what you will probably find, like most of us, is that inking up a solid image like this, you need to do a little bit of a twist action. Just going down and stamping up and down tends to put the ink down and take it back up again. So if you do that little twisty, then you're going to have a better result. So I'm just twisting it a little bit as I go. I'm not too concerned about this. It's nature after all. So I'm positioning my head right over top so I can add the little dots right in the holes where they fit. Really easy to see with the photopolymer stamp. Alrighty, now I'm ready to punch it out. And it will have a little bit of a white border around it. That's just the way our punches are. Line that up. And there's my wings. So that's done. Next up, we are going to work on this inside piece, which is 5 1/4 by 4. And this is just a 1/4 sheet of our grid paper, just from what I had left over of a piece that was already messy. And on here, I am going to put the little flowers. And I'm doing them in Daffodil Delight. So here's my little flowers. Guess I've used them with red or pink again. Here we go. Thanks. It is a cute card, isn't it? And I'm going to just position this down here in the bottom right. And I'm going to do the same on the other side to be symmetrical. And remember, the magic with stamping is not pressing too hard into your ink pad, but pressing and holding, I say 3 to 5 seconds, and it transfers the ink just so much more evenly. So there's our inside done. We'll get these cleaned up after. I guess we're ready to move into some die cutting before we go back to some stamping. This is the fun part of this card. Get these guys out the way. So I've chosen the middle scallop, and I'm going to bring my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine in. So I apologize if it shakes a little as we go. That's kind of what happens. And I don't have brand new plates. I wouldn't trust a skinny cook, and therefore I will not trust plates that are too clean. What you need is 2 of these out of white or vanilla, whatever your base is. So you do need to do them separately. I do die cut things together sometimes when I'm prepping for a class, but not if they have stitching. I like to do them separately when they have stitching, just to make sure that I get that really nice impression. So there's one, and we need one for the back. And then I'll show you what we do with the base. That's two. Okay, if you have some painter's tape or washi tape or something extra of this nature that's kind of semi-permanent, you might want it. It kind of helps hold us in place. And now I've torn it off at the edge, right? There we go. Oh, great. Okay. You might want that for positioning. So we have our score line here at 5.5, and then this one at 2 3/4. So let's do some folding. Grab the bone folder. We can do that while we're on here. And then this piece flap goes back. And that's what we're going to be working with. But we only want to cut this left side. We just want to cut out this portion here. So here's how we do this partial die cutting. What I liked about this particular one is it has 13 scallops, and the scallops help you line it up, because you can see from top to bottom, if you go into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half, halfway through those two, you're going to have it even on both sides. So let's try and get this washi tape in place here. And we're not going to put the plate right on top. We're going to go partially off to the side. Here we go. And then you might also want to de-stickify a little bit. So I'm going to put this here, and just mainly because I don't want it to shift when I'm doing this technique. This will just help hold it in place. Normally I don't have to worry about that. So now we want to cut the outside edge. So I will slide my plate all the way through and line the edge of this plate up with that 2 3/4 inch score line. So I need it to be straight, number one. And you see how there is pressure, full-on sandwich pressure on this side, but not on this side. So even if I went all the way through, it's not going to cut the rest. And we just kind of gently run this through. Here our clunk. Pull this out. We're going to do some embossing too. And what we have, oopsie, is this. Just carefully pulling this off. There we go. We have our little flap there. And the flap is what we're going to put the white ones on either side of, on either side of it. But before we do that, I wanted to run it through with a little bit of embossing too, just to add a little bit more interest to it. So I have my plate number 1, and I'm using one of our 3D embossing folders. Now I want to take a look at how this is going to go, because I'm a visual person. I want to make sure I line it up right. So I'm going to line up my score line, the center score line this time, there. And we'll see how this works, if it works with this embossing folder. I used a different one on the sample. That's good to try different ones. You always want to cut first and then emboss, because if you emboss first and then you cut, you're going to end up squishing out your embossing. Let's pull it back. There we go. There's our piece. We're ready to work on our card. So we have the non-embossed side on the right. Fold it over. Fold this back. Okay, I see. So now it's going to be embossed and debossed on different sides. That's okay. This is a sample, and it's a learning experience. So here we go. This one I did with a different embossing folder. Okay, you could also stamp it or put some kind of other decoration on it. All right, so the idea here is to cover up this flap. We're not going to glue it down on this side though. We're only gluing on this piece here that's open. Otherwise it won't flip. Let's do our stamping first. So the first thing we want to do is grab my scratch paper, bring that in, and I'm going to do a leaf for my ladybug to sit on. Now I am using this big leaf and Granny Apple Green from the stamp set. Let's press that down. My first one, the center wasn't perfectly stamped, and that was okay because my butterfly, or my ladybug rather, was going to be covering it up. So that's that. And then in red, I want to put my greeting, may your greatest wish come true. Just found a nice big hair on that ink pad. There we go. And now I'm going to put my greeting on here. Going to have to watch the replay on this one, Lynn. Lynn, I haven't seen you in forever. Yes, this is one you have to kind of take a really good look at. And we're going to stick this down and do my best to get it centered, top to bottom, and not crooked. Oh, not bad. I'm pleased with that. So there's my greeting. And then the other rectangle that we die cut, which is here, this is the one on the back side, and it's just going to have a bunch of the leaves. So I'll stick this on here, grab my Granny Apple Green and my big leaf, and do some stamping. So the reason I use the pad is because it pushes up really nicely back onto my stamp to give much better coverage than if you didn't have that. Oop. And then one more in from the bottom. I love the veins on this. It looks really nice. Okay, so we can put the Granny Apple Green away, and now we're down to assembly. Okay, keeping this close at hand as a visual. Here we are. Now you'll see that you have your piece to put on the right, and that's where you're going to write your message. Get my liquid glue out and put this down. I got this card idea with a different stamp set and a different set of colors and so on from Connie Stewart in the US. She does some great videos, and I love her teaching style. And then this is the one that's going to go on the front, so I want it to fit this way, and I only want adhesive on this piece, so that's where I'm literally going to put the glue, is on the smaller piece. It can squish out a little bit, that would be okay. You can use whatever adhesive you like best. I like this. And I'm going to position this. I'm going to slide it through the little holes, and I'm lining the scallops. Once again, the scallops make it so easy to line up the scallops through there. And liquid glue, right? It's so forgiving if you goof up. Okay. And then on the other side, once again, we're only putting the adhesive on this little flap that's sticking out. You want to be careful we don't glue our card shut. Hi, Val. Working early this morning. Oh, yes, right? Hard to be everywhere at all times. And then, okay, so I have to focus. All right. So then now we're going to line up the scallops again on this piece. Press it down. And there's our flip card. It's going, oops, it needs to be through. Flip, 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 flip. Very cute. Okay, so now we need to embellish it just a wee bit. Where did our ladybug go? Oh, ladybug, where did you go? There you are. I'm going to add a little glue to the wings. I also like to use our vellum on the wings. I think that's a really nice light touch. I love these nice bright colors for this card, but often I'll do her wings in just punched in vellum. And we'll add some dimensionals onto the back to pop her up nicely. I feel like I just, moved her wings. There we go. And we get her on the leaf. Him, her, I don't know. I know there's a different color. How cute is that? And then it needs a little embellishing. So I had these left over from a class, a bunch extra kits that I had made. And I had these black dots. I thought, well, that's perfect. I'll use them up. And stick one here. That's garbage. And grab one over here. Okay. Adhesive, and of course, you know I have dog hair down here. There we go. There we go. And that's our card for tonight, the swing card. So I hope you'll give this guy a try. Kind of fun. I'm sure you could do it with ovals and other things too, but I just find that those stitched scallop contour dies, rectangular shaped dies, are just perfect for this. Thank you, my friends, for watching. It was nice to spend some time with you, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.